Thank you so much for joining us, Councillor Matongo. Now, I just want to start with what you have prioritized for the 2021-2022 Joburg budget that was tabled last week. So just walk me through the total budget and what you have prioritized.
Thank you very much. The total budget is 73.3 billion in the new financial year, which begins on the 1st of July this year. Part of the priorities is infrastructure development, infrastructure upgrades. But key in this budget is high impact infrastructure development programs in 3 areas in Johannesburg, one being Kliptown, where we are investing no less than 500 million in the new financial year to ensure that we deal with the tarring of the roads, dealing with stormwater and the sewer system, providing affordable social housing. The next one being Orange Farm, we're doing the same. We're dealing with the tarring of roads. We're dealing with stormwater and sewer system. We're dealing with the issues of social housing, but we're also dealing with open space management, street lights installation, and that area itself, Orange Farm, is allocated also more than 800 million in the new financial year. And then the last area in the high impact programs being Ivory Park and the surrounding areas, we're also doing the same, the tarring of roads, the stormwater and sewer systems, the street light installation, including a social housing project. So in the main, those are the 3 focus areas in the new financial year, because we think that having done a study looking at which are the most deprived areas in the city of Johannesburg, Ivory Park and Orange Farm became top of the list. Kliptown is a historic problem that we have had. I think everybody on the 26th of June, when the Freedom Charter celebrations are done in Kliptown, they look at Kliptown and they say, shame on this government, which claims that Kliptown is the bad place of the Freedom Charter, but look at the conditions of the people living in Kliptown. So we're investing money in those areas. But besides that, we're also investing money in the infrastructure upgrades around electricity. We've allocated 2.8 billion just to deal with the infrastructure upgrades, repairs and maintenance of our electricity infrastructure. We have put 1.2 billion to deal with water infrastructure across the city. We have put 2.8 billion in terms of the road infrastructure across the city. So those are basically the highlights of the budget that we have presented.
And I mean, you talk about supporting the most deprived areas. I just want to know, with the new tariff increases, what is the city doing, or what has the city done to make sure that you support the most vulnerable ratepayers?
Well, we agree that the ratepayers have been hardest hit as it relates to the COVID pandemic, but also the sluggish economic growth that we are experiencing. And we have, through the consultation processes with the public, through the community-based planning sessions, including our IDP sessions, we have listened to people. For instance, on the property rates, the proposal that we had put on the table was that we would charge about 4% increase on property rates. And people came out strongly to say it's unaffordable. Can we not have an increase this time around on the property rates? But the reality is that property rates form the largest chunk of our revenue, because we charge the property rates, people pay, we then use the money to provide the services such as health facilities, public amenities like community centers, swimming pools, and so on. So it's unaffordable for us to say there will not be an increase of property rates. But what we have done is that if you look at the current financial year that ends at the end of this month, the property rates increase was 4%. But in the new financial year, we have decided not to keep it at 4%, nor to increase it further, but bring it down to 2%, having taken into account the issues that have been raised by our residents. If you look at, for instance, the whole issue of electricity, and NERSA has granted Eskom an increase of about 15.09% increase, but as a city, we are not going to be charging that increase to the residents. We are only going to levy a 14.59% increase. So that shows you that whilst Eskom will be charging 15.09, we are intervening as a city and charging our customers a bit less, which is 14.59. Similarly, with issues around the refuse removal, we have dropped it from 5.2% to 4.3% to make sure that at least we give back something to the residents. But over and above that, we have introduced what we now call a phase 2 of the debt rehabilitation program, which is an interesting program because it says any customer of the city that is owing the city for a period more than 90 days as of 31st December 2020 is allowed to come forward, ask for amnesty in the city. So what that means is if you qualify in terms of the criteria, you have to have a joint income, gross income per month of not more than 22,000. So if you meet that criteria, we write off 50% of your debt upfront. And then we expect you to also come to the party and pay for the monthly services that are due and payable by you for the next 3 months without defaulting. Once you do that, at the end of the 3-year period, we will then be able to write off the other 50% of the debt. So it's quite an interesting measure that ensures that those that have given up, who say, I want to pay, but the historic debt that I have just makes it impossible for me to do it. So we encourage them to come forward. But what is also important in terms of what we are doing as a city, which we introduced in the past 2 years, was to reintroduce the 6 free kiloliters of water for all the households. So if you stay alone and you are at work most of the time, the 6 kiloliters of free water should be enough to sustain you for a month. The residents are at least aware of the work that we are doing as a city to also cushion them.
Thank you very much, MMC, for walking us through some of those relief measures that you took to assist the ratepayers, of course, including the debt rehabilitation program. You mentioned your allocations with electricity and road infrastructure, but I just want you to walk me through the additional allocations in the health space and also to support the youth.
Well, in terms of young people, we have put a budget of 90 million over the medium term, meaning over the next 3 years, to ensure that skills development programs are rolled out for young people, but also to ensure that things like a youth service program where young people are enrolled in a youth service program, they get training in all sorts of skills that are required, but as they do that, they also provide a particular service to their communities, and at the end of each month, they earn an allowance or a stipend. So we think that that program in terms of youth will assist in terms of skilling the youth, but also ensuring that the youth is involved in the delivery of municipal services, but at the end of the day, also providing some kind of an allowance for them, at least to take care of themselves and to put bread on the table. So we have also invested a lot of money in terms of the development of clinics. We have got a new clinic coming up in Soweto, in Jolidee. We've got a number of clinics that we are completing. We are beginning work in Zandspruit to ensure that we do the preparatory work so that when we build the clinic in Zandspruit, the preparatory work has been done. So it's quite exciting times that we are looking ahead to. But also important, as we speak about the youth, we're also looking at the military veterans in our city who have played a major role in ensuring that we have democracy today. We have allocated a budget of 60 million over the medium term to ensure that military veterans are also assisted in the process.
And of course, just noting, of course, we do know that we are in the middle of the COVID-19 vaccine rollout. The City of Johannesburg has allocated 6.7 million for COVID-19 vaccination campaigns and the rollout. Thank you very much for walking us through that City of Johannesburg budget that was tabled last week, MMC. That was Councillor Jolidee Matongo, the MMC for Finance for the City of Johannesburg. Thank you very much for joining us.